live?
Yeah. Yes, we are live.
Welcome to Golden Goal TV. Yes, we are back on. And what a week of Premier League action has been. Yes, plenty of things happen. Fulham edged it. Chelsea blew it. And Newcastle and Man City entertained. Plus a lot more to come as Reds went to battle. Let's go.
Way to do so. Can it's him. Back to Balotelli. It runs for Aguero. They've done it.
Hazard still on the ground as Charlie Adam goes for goal here. Oh, and he scored.
And was by Stones. Andrew Townsend. A field of minutes. And Aaron Ramsey starts and ends. An immaculate. Trying to find a way through.
Well, welcome to the show. We'll get into all of the games, but let's introduce the panel first. He'll be pretty happy, I imagine. Abdi.
Hello, sorry, I'm having a bit of camera difficulties today. I didn't have a chance to set up properly.
So you'll be fine.
No, it keeps falling down. I'm doing great, mate. How you doing?
I'm good. Yeah, I bet you're doing great. I don't blame you at all. Back on the show, I mean, you'll be pretty happy, Nick.
Hello, guys. How's everyone? Better result than I thought it would be at the start.
Well, we'll get into that later. And in the put my teeth back in. In the producer's chair, Matt, how's it going?
I'm good, thank you. We have also got our last edition with us. I don't know if you'd like to introduce them as well.
Sam?
Yes.
Hello.
Snappy Sammy.
How's it going?
Good, thank you. How are you?
All good. Raring to go. So, let's kick off with this one. So, Everton Forest. Now, you've got struggling Frank Lampard against newly promoted Nottingham Forest, who have had a pretty good start to the season, unlike Abdi Everton.
A similar thing. We were talking about Everton in the last show about how they've been sort of toothless up front, and it's sort of similar story again. They've kind of been lucky again with the Damari Gray goal to take a point away. You know, it could have been a defeat. It was close to being a defeat. Most people thought it was going to be a defeat at that point as well. But credit to them, they managed to find a way. But at the same time, it's still very poor start for Everton. Their transfer window hasn't been very good in terms of who they brought in. I don't think they've done nearly enough. They got 60 million for Richarlison. I haven't seen that really been reinvested into the squad to try and make it at least more competitive. You don't want to be sort of trying to fight relegation again like last season. You know, last season was a shock to most Everton fans in terms of they shouldn't really be fighting. Like a club the size of Everton shouldn't really be fighting for relegation, but the squad that they currently have is bang average and probably bottom of the table, if not championship at best. So yeah, it's just a tough time for Everton. They need some signings in the door. Do that, get the team playing together, and they should be okay. But they need someone. They need someone more than Frankie Boy. I'm sorry.
I mean, looking at Everton's transfer window, Nick, Everton have lost more players than they actually brought in. You've got injuries. You've got players leaving. I mean, you've got Gordon potentially leaving. I mean,
I forgot about that.
I think, Everton's window has not been very good. They needed a centre forward to replace Richardson, and they're not done that. And then Cameroon goes and gets injured. That has really badly affected them. And I think it'll be suicide if they sell Gordon to Chelsea. I think it's not a great choice of club to go to, because I think it will be better off staying at Everton and getting the regular football. Because where would he? I don't think he'll get the game time at Chelsea.
He will at Anderlecht or something like that.
But in this game, Everton, they had plenty of opportunities. Just the defense Forest were blocking it, and Henderson was making loads of saves. And then the same with Forest going forward, they were creating chances, but just the goalkeeper denying them. So it looked like it was stalemate till the effort from Forest, which Pickford parried, and then Brendan Johnson was quick to react, and he did well to put that in. And then it was just like I think Forest will be disappointed how they conceded because it was straightforward. It was a punt from Pickford and went to Jamari Gray, and he slid it underneath Henderson. So I think Forest will be disappointed that they didn't hold down for the win there. But I think if Everton don't get more signings in the last 8 days of the window, I think they could be struggling this season. And I think Frank Lampard could be under pressure. And if things don't improve at Everton, I think they could be making the change and getting rid of him.
Sam, I mean, Frank Lampard could be under pressure. Surely Frank Lampard's already under pressure because, I mean, I know it's been 3 games, but technically Everton have not really... They have kind of carried on the way they finished the season. They just about managed to stay up, but their form wasn't exactly brilliant.
Yeah, well, he's under pressure after the end of last season, I think. I think it kind of... However you do it, when you just stay up, there needs to be an overhaul in the next transfer window, which hasn't happened. They've just lost players and not really replaced anyone. They've added a few, but not where they really needed it. So they haven't helped themselves. So they've only got themselves to blame, really, as well.
I think, yeah, it's a tricky one. I mean, Matt, if Frank Lampard goes, I mean, Everton need a new manager, sure, but it's not a new manager will not fix everything, considering the mess at that club.
No, and this all comes from when they were spending big. They brought in some genuinely good players. Richarlison, 50 million. Bernard, I think it was 14 million at the time. Even James Rodriguez, 20 odd million, something like that. And 3 of those players are now not at the club. So the players that they have brought in to try and get them to fight for European places are no longer there. Their talisman in Anthony Gordon, who's supposed to be there pulling up, trying to prove that he deserves a spot in that England team, as well as proving himself to the rest of the league that he is capable of doing so. Okay, he's got the interest of Chelsea at the moment, but I think Everton need him to stay more than Everton want him to leave.
Everton need everyone they can get, they can keep.
That's the problem as well at the moment, is that they're in such a financial difficulty. They need to get players out before they can bring people in. So it is a tough ask, but it's going to take a while for everything to settle down. I don't know. I can't count how many days we've got left of the window. It's less than 14 now. But Everton do need
8 days left, Matt.
8. Yeah, okay.
Next Thursday.
You haven't got a lot of time to get people in. And this is where the fans are getting a bit antsy because you're hearing nothing. And instead of buying forwards and wingers, you're buying about 3 centre backs. It's not what you should be doing, and it just doesn't make sense. And you know how some of these players are up front, and the fact that one of them is already injury prone, you would have thought you'd go out and buy in a striker. Instead, you don't. And now, first training session back, he's doing a passing drill when he goes down and hurts his knee. It's just, you couldn't write this, and Everton's luck, it will not change unless they bring in the right people. But it has to be the right mentality. They have to not just think of it as a quick payday as some of the other players have.
It's an interesting one. Everton's one of the managers. Frank Lampard's one of the managers in trouble. Have we got any comments on Mr. Lampard?
No comment yet.
Come
we
on,
do
people.
have one viewer though, so please make yourself known.
Yeah,
leave
put
a
yourself in
comment,
the
say
chat.
hello.
Let us know what you think of the games. The other games, obviously, that have been played, which you're going to skim over quickly, is obviously Leicester losing to Southampton and Villa losing to Palace. Steven Gerrard and Brendan Rodgers under pressure, and we'll be talking more about them in the preview show coming up on Thursday. Because these managers will be under pressure for their games, and they don't have it easy. The next
Who's
game,
Villa got?
Villa have West Ham, I believe.
West Ham on the Sunday, 2
Wow,
o'clock.
that's a big pressure game in itself. Both of them.
That's
West
a big
Ham
game for
looking
both
for a win,
teams.
and then Villa needing. I will say one Villa quickly, just briefly. Sorry to
No, that's fine.
deviate a little bit, but on the Steven Gerrard thing, I think he's under a lot of pressure at the moment with the Villa fans. He's been there for I wouldn't say a very long time, but he's been there long enough now that you can sort of want to see something from it, and
you want to see an improvement.
Yeah, and it hasn't really shown much, Fair enough, last season he came in November time. It wasn't really his squad yet, or something along those lines. He had the January transfer window. He got Coutinho in. He got a couple other people in. I can't remember off the top of my head, but yeah, Digne, yes, he got money spent in the January transfer window, and now money again spent in the summer transfer window. Smelling Sarr coming in, Diego Carlos coming in. But yeah, so just to name a few, Villa fans aren't happy. They've had three very poor games. Losing to Bournemouth, which is first game, but still not good luck if you're Villa and the ambitions that you have. Everton, very lucky result, to be fair, in terms of getting away with it, because Everton arguably probably could have had a draw in that game, even though Everton are poor themselves. But in terms of the next one, Palace away. Can you close the door? Go. Sorry.
He's chasing Circus away.
No, that was my niece. In terms of the Palace game, Palace had way too much for them.
Is your niece a United fan as well?
No, I don't know, but her mum's an Arsenal fan, so I don't know.
Oh dear.
Hey, shush, lose. No, I'm joking. But Palace, they had it together. After their game against Arsenal, they went to face Liverpool, and then after we all saw what happened there, and then afterwards going into the Villa game, they seemed cohesive and a team that was ready to go against Villa. But Villa weren't ready for it, so. See, a lot of questions have to be asked of Gerrard at the moment, and at the moment, the fans are looking for Pochettino to come in. So that'd be an interesting one.
Pochettino at Villa. Sam, what do you think of that? I mean, I know we're deviating from the schedule here, but
I'm not sure he would take that job. I think the thing is, it's a weird one with Villa, isn't it? Because on paper they have a really good squad, but for some reason they can't get them playing together. So it's a bizarre one. I don't think maybe a manager changes it, because for me there's some good players there that could form a half decent team, but yeah, it just doesn't work, does it? For some reason, it's so bizarre.
It's not really working out for Villa, is it? Nick, I mean, surely, both teams need a result, but without going into the next week's game, because it's not the show for it, how much do you think Gerrard needs to go? Do you think he's still got a few games but not many?
Well, it depends what happens in future matches, but I think at the moment I don't think they'll make the change yet. I think he'll have a few more matches, but they will need to get results. And the matches coming up are not easy. So I reckon next few weeks it's going to be crucial for Villa and Gerrard, because there are good players there, but it's just not clicking for some reason. And the form from the end of last season to this season has not improved. But I do think they had a very harsh decision against Palace. That was not a hand penalty, I thought.
Even still, though, they would have still lost the game.
Yeah.
And I mean, the way this is going, we could get a manager sacking in the first international break.
Always got to be an early one.
We'll have to wait and see. Matt, what's your views on
I think
Villa?
my one prediction is going to be wrong, to be fair, on that one.
So before I go into that, Jonesy is our mystery viewer.
Hello, Jonesy.
Friend of the channel. And he said, "Evening, guys. Hope you're all well. I believe we all are. Are we all well?"
Yeah, all good, all good.
Yeah.
Glad to have you listening.
Also said, Gerrard and Lampard are frauds. They couldn't play together in the same team, and now they can't manage in the same league.
Exactly, Jonesy.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I mean,
And you're not going to hear anyone say about it because they're the media darlings in terms of.
No, that's the problem.
But realistically, the two best English managers right now aren't them two. It's Eddie Howe and Graham Potter. By country mile. So
absolutely.
Honestly, looking at this Villa team, they've lost that spark that they had when Coutinho came in, haven't they? And you just look at that Villa team, you think they should be doing better than they should. Not
players that they have as well, yeah.
Yeah, and they just haven't looked well. The other one you've asked us to look at is the Leicester Saints, and honestly, with how Ralph Hasenhüttl has gotten on so far, they played well, but they haven't clicked. And then go to Leicester and then 1-0 down, you go and win the game 2-1. Fair play. And honestly, that's going to give them a huge boost. Although they now play United next, so we'll see what happens.
We'll see.
I don't think Hasenhüttl.
We'll get into that on the preview.
We'll talk about that. On Thursday.
Brendan Rodgers losing again. I mean,
I've always had a thing against Brendan Rodgers. I just think he's a copycat manager where he just copies
beautiful human being.
Everything that the previous club did or the manager that worked well. So he knew that Leicester played better with a 4-4-2 under Ranieri, copied and pasted that, got them back into Europe, and that didn't really end very well for him. And now everyone wants to leave. They
haven't really invested in that squad as well.
This is baffling me because the owners were so good, and all of a sudden they don't invest.
Maybe it's time for Rodgers. He's got limited time, and if they don't bring anyone in, and you said 8 days, is that right, Nick?
Yeah.
8 or 9.
Window.
Next Thursday.
If they don't bring in anyone, you'd assume that you're going to be out the window within the next 3 games.
I mean, Abdi, their owners, I mean, they were great at investing. They were really good. And then what's happened to me? Because the manager could be a problem, possibly. But then the owners, what's happened? Because they're not investing. They don't seem as invested as they used to be. Or at least that's what it looks like from the outsider's point of view.
I honestly don't know in terms of, because I'm not really a Leicester fan. I don't really look at Leicester. I don't really look at Leicester that closely, to be fair, as well. Recently, they've sort of fallen away in terms of they were that team that was in the top 6, that were pushing for top 4 sort of thing. So they were doing well for themselves, and then afterwards, last season happened, and then after they fell down, and then they just couldn't really get back together. And then afterwards, it kind of carried on into this season. And then afterwards, they're looking to sell the likes of Maddison, Tielemans, Fofana. Well, they're not really looking to sell them, but they're people interested, and those players want to be gone. Peter Schmeichel's gone, so and they haven't really replaced him, so they've just went with Danny Ward or Iverson as well. So I have no clue. It's baffling because they have decent players in there, and all they have to do is just bring some new, fresh blood into that team. It reinvigorates the whole place, really. It reinvigorates the energy of the team, the energy of the fans, and then, gives a positive outlook. But at the moment, it's not really looking too bright for Leicester as well. So
since we are talking about Leicester, sorry, Abdi, they're drawing 0-0 against Stockport at the moment. Aston Villa are behind to Bolton 1-0.
If he loses, he's gone. He has
What's
to be
the
gone.
Fleetwood Everton score?
Fleetwood are losing 1-0 to Everton.
Oh, okay.
Is the Villa game at home or away?
No, it's at
That's
Bolton.
away to
Oh.
Bolton.
He's lucky. He's lucky.
So Jonesy has just put
Even
another
still.
message in just to say I can see Fofana and Tielemans and possibly Barnes leaving before the window closes.
I mean, if
I
they're free
definitely
leave,
could as well.
Tielemans they've got to sell Tielemans because they'll get nothing for him next summer.
I'm
Yeah.
not sure on the Barnes one, but I can see Tielemans going to Arsenal before the window's shut, and Fofana definitely to Chelsea. But saying that, £70 million bid rejected earlier today.
they want 80 million at least.
So I'll just carry on with Jonesy's.
They're doing a Harry Maguire on you.
That's all right. Newcastle's interest in Maddison and Leicester are in a lot of trouble. So there is a lot there for, to consider as well, Abdi. Sorry, I'll let you finish your thought.
If all these 4 players go, Leicester are pretty much relegated. I'm sorry, but
They're currently in
Tielemans,
the bottom
Barnes,
3,
Maddison.
I think. Them, West Ham,
They're
and
second
Wolves.
bottom.
Wolves are down there for some reason. I don't know, but sure.
You seem surprised.
Bottom 3 at the moment is Wolves, Leicester, West Ham.
And then and Everton are just outside. But yeah, no surprise there, except for Wolves and West Ham.
It's an interesting one. It's we'll have to wait and see what happens. I'm sure we'll talk these teams more in the preview show on Thursday. Moving on to the next game. Sam, we're going to come to you. Arsenal. Rocking vitality.
Then you start, because I had that in my head and I've had that in my head since.
Saliba. There you go.
Because I swear the Arsenal fans are on that for about good 20 minutes. Solid.
They will just going and going and going.
It was not going to stop.
It was like
it was vibes. It was vibes in the way end, to be fair. Well, not the way end. It was in a shed.
In the all the players were doing it in the change rooms after the game as well. But yeah, it was as convincing is really. Like, we were just in complete control throughout the whole game. Helped with the early goals. But if you haven't seen the goal from Saliba, well, my goodness, it was unbelievable. From a centre back, it was like a centre forwards finish. Jesus was electric again. Ødegaard was electric. Martinelli was electric. It's just a heck of a weird time to be an Arsenal fan at the minute. It's just beyond imagination at the minute. It's almost like a pinch yourself moment, literally every time. I was watching the game and thinking, is this Arsenal I'm watching, or is it just like a different team? Because it's just the kind of, just the confidence that we're playing with at the minute is something else.
I mean, 100% winning record after 3 games. Yeah, that's certainly something to behold. Abdi, I mean, was any other result expected against Bournemouth, who, apart from that decent win against Villa, conceded 7 goals in 2?
Yeah, should have been more. Should have been more in the Arsenal game as well. Should have been 4 or 5. But I don't think anyone expected anything but an Arsenal victory and them cruising to an easy win, pretty much. And it was like that pretty much throughout the game. In Jesus, fantastic player, fantastic signing for them. He's absolutely turned that team around in terms of their attacking threat even more. They were good when they had Saka, Martinelli, Smith Rowe, and Ødegaard, but then you put Jesus in there, and he's creating for himself and the other team. He's making stuff out of nothing, pretty much. That first goal, or it was either the first goal or the second goal, when he won the ball back, and then afterwards just took it past players, and then found, just set up. He wasn't the
goal,
it got to Martinelli, and then afterwards to Ødegaard. But still, Arsenal haven't had this player for this kind of player for a very long time. I think maybe the last person that you're going to probably hate him, but still Robin van Persie-esque in terms of doing it all for and leading from the front. And
Sam's got his heads in his hands.
Man United legend, Van Persie.
Man United legend, but still no. But honestly, he was quality for you guys as well. So I will say that. But Jesus, absolutely game changer for Arsenal. Odegaard, fantastic for him. 2 goals as new captain. Saliba. You know, everyone, like the goal, fantastic. Yeah, he took it very well. Great goal for him. Great confidence boost after last week as well. You know, unfortunately put it into the back of his own net, but you know, at this rate, he had a fantastic game against Palace. He had an all right game, but marred with the own goal, but still victory. It was fine. But then afterwards, he had this performance and then a fantastic goal as well. So I don't know what we'll see out of him on Fulham, but you know, for Arsenal fans, hopefully it's a solid performance again. But no, they're cruising at the moment, and I fully expect them to at least get another 6 points from the next 2. So be on maximum points after 5 games. But yeah, you can only beat what's in front of you, you know, and that's the thing. I know people say it's only Palace, it's only Bournemouth, it's only this, that. Yes, it is. It was a Palace team that was sort of still disjointed and not together. But sure, Arsenal still had to go out and do the job. You know, it wasn't all their own way in that first game as well. The Leicester game, a very poor Leicester side, but still they had to go out and do the job, and they're doing it. That's what you have to do. It's games like this where things like you need to, like, if you're going for league titles, top 4, whatever that you're trying to do, you need to pick up points in these types of games. Because if you're not, then afterwards, what's the point? What is the point? So get those points on the board, get as many points on the board as early as possible, get the best possible start, get the confidence flowing, and then after you're off to a winning start, really.
Yeah, you can only put yourself in the better position by getting these points, and that's what Arsenal are doing, Nick. I mean,
just before Nick does speak, Nick, do you want to move your camera because it's gone back to the? There we go.
Nick, what do you think of Arsenal? I mean, they're smashing it
That's it.
at the moment.
Yeah, they are. Well, on Saturday against Bournemouth, it was very comfortable, crew control, very easy win, and they could have won by more points. Could have won by more goals. Just unbelievable performance. I think there'll be arguments saying they've not played anyone major yet, but they've done the job that they needed to. But especially, I was impressed with the win against Palace because at the end of last season they got hammered 3-0 there. So to win that game with a clean sheet was quite extremely impressive. So, and I do think that Arsenal just need to get the points on the board and now, so they have a chance of getting Champions League, because I think that's their main aim for the season. So it'll be quite interesting to see the next few matches if they carry on playing with the confidence they have been doing with the new signings, which have embedded in very well, I think.
Matt,
that's
Arsenal
also another thing as well. Like you look at how they started last season compared to this season. 3 defeats, bottom of the table. 3 wins this season, top of the table. Exactly. What difference a year makes for them. Exactly. And that's the thing. If they can get as much points to the board as early as possible, you know, they lost out by 1 or 2 points to Spurs in the top 4 race.
I think it was 2 points in the end.
Yeah, if they had won one of those early games, you know, it could have been a whole different story, and they would have been in top 4. So, best early start, best start for them. So, you know,
Matt, Arsenal so far so invincible.
I don't want to say it. It's a jinx at the moment because, you know, a lot of these teams have come so close at the moment. Liverpool and City at recent times. Jonesy has come in with another comment. Arsenal can only beat what's in front of them. People say easy games, yet Liverpool have had easy games and
they didn't do it.
So they say, and haven't won a game yet. So that is the other thing as well that I was going to say is the fixture list. It can be kind, but at times it can also be your worst enemy. The fact that in the last season, those first 3 games, you had Brentford,
Man City, Chelsea, and Brentford.
Yeah, Brentford first game of the season again on the Friday. They're in a new stadium. They're already bouncing because they're in the Premier League for the first time. You knew the story what that was going to happen. So you could almost say, well, we already know that we could be 6 points up or 6 points down, or maybe 9 points if we're very unlucky, and that's how it turned out. But when I look at this season, a lot of the ideas that Mikel's wanted, it's been all out there. It's a lot more positive, and the way Abdi touched on it, the way he was talking about Gabriel Jesus, he brings in, not, I wouldn't say it's the Van Persie effect. I would say it's the Eduardo effect. I haven't seen a new striker come in like that and just have such a good link up with everyone. It's not just he's working on the front foot; he's working on the back, defensively as well. He seems to be enjoying it, which is the positives as well. Saliba doing amazing work at the moment. It seems like every defender is up for a goal of the month or goal of the year season contender at the moment. So we'll have to see who gets it this week. But it's been an interesting start to the season, and it will be interesting to see how that carries on. The next one will be against United in a couple of games' time, and then the next one after that is City. So it will be interesting to see how City. It's not. It's in a few. It's like the 8th game in, I think.
Is that before Spurs?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, because you got Spurs and then Liverpool back to back, so those are going to be two interesting ones. I think the Spurs ones are already done anyway. To be fair,
so we've actually got a couple of games before. So we've got obviously Fulham on Saturday, and then there's a midweek fixture against Villa,
which is Villa, and then you got Man United,
and then Man United. Then
the Europa League starts.
Oh yeah, but can't wait for that. And then we've got Everton at home, Brentford away, and then Tottenham at home.
Oh, so City's not in there.
Just before we do finish on the Arsenal stuff, there is actually Tranmere Rovers, my local team. Your favourite team, Nick, is playing tomorrow night. They actually do have the Tequila song. That is their chant, and I just found it really weird to have a Premier League team having that song for a player.
It's going to happen eventually.
Yeah.
I've heard it with someone else, though.
A few clubs have it, I think.
Was it? I don't want to say it because I'm probably going to get pelters. I don't know. I feel like I heard Spurs do it at one point. But
oh, dear.
It was either Spurs or Newcastle, one of the two. But
well, as much as I would rather not move on to the next game, we're going to have to.
Hello, Hubert.
Don't want anyone to start.
Let's start with you. No, let's start with you.
Yeah,
let's get the view.
To me, it's a pretty simple one.
By the way, guys, if you don't know what we're talking about, we're talking about Leeds 3, Chelsea 0. Go ahead, Hubert.
Yes,
the floor's yours.
We are indeed. I think there's a lot of things to take out of this game. One of them being, it shows that we have not bought correctly. We have got no striker, which it worked for Man City, but it's certainly not working for us. Sterling needs a player to play off. He doesn't have that. So we need that. I think that's a problem in the first place. Defensively, Koulibaly did something stupid, and we in general just don't. Defensively, we still have problems. We still haven't bought in defense as much as we should have. Is it the case of Leeds playing well or us being shit or both? I think it's a case of both. I think it's safe to say we're awful. And I wouldn't say we're in trouble, but I will say it's not a result anyone wants, but I guess 3 games into the season, it's not a result that's going to haunt us just yet. It only will if we lose the top 4 place by the 3 points we could have gained against Leeds. I think it's not a great result. I think it's difficult to put much on it. I think I've had plenty of debates on it on Sunday with people saying Chelsea are in trouble and me kind of trying to say, look, it's a bad loss. We were awful, but in reality, in the grand scheme of things, it's not yet panic button time, but it's certainly a panic buying time. We need to buy defenders. So what do we do? We go and aim to buy a creative midfielder because we don't have enough of them. No, we clearly don't. I don't understand what our transfer policy is this season. It's an absolute mess. It makes no sense at all. We clearly need to buy in different areas. We're not buying in them, and this is what makes us end the way we do. And that's just what it is. We need to buy for a player like Fofana. I mean, we're gonna get ripped off for him because of the transfer fees the way they are. Everyone's gonna put that. They know we need defenders. They're gonna charge us for it, and we're gonna have to pay up for it if we really want it. We have to cough up. Simple as it's one game. I can't put much on that. We're not in trouble just yet. Certainly, it has to take a few bad results for that to happen. We need to fight back, and if there's anyone to fight back, it will be against a team that's doing as terribly as Leicester. We need to take advantage. Leeds United, fair play to Leeds. I mean, we gifted 2 of the goals for early Christmas, but at the end of the day, Rodrigo, smashing player. He deserves plenty of credit, and I mean, after 3 games, you can't say a lot, but Leeds, I've had you as going down. I still would like you to, but you are a surprise package. You're proving better than I thought you would. Fair play to you. We were crap. The end. Abdi, over to you.
All right. I do agree with you in the sense that a lot of people have just started writing Chelsea's obituary saying, "Oh, Chelsea are in trouble. They're this, they're that, they're finished." Absolutely not. It was basically the same team that played against Tottenham that everyone was raving about, saying, "Oh, they were fantastic in this game," without just minus N'Golo Kante and substituting Conor Gallagher. Were Chelsea good? No, they weren't. But were they as bad as people were making out to? I don't think so, really. I don't think they're that bad that people are saying, "Oh, they're finished. They're in massive trouble." Sure, they need probably more defensive reinforcement in terms of what they're doing, but at the same time, Koulibaly, Thiago Silva, and playing James as a right centre back kind of, I don't know, it diminishes a little bit for my liking. I'm not a Chelsea fan, but playing him as a right centre back, he can play there, sure, but as a right wing back, he's probably much better in that position. Another centre back would have been good, and I think that's why you're trying to get Fofana, so he can play there instead of having to play Loftus-Cheek at wing back and then afterwards Reece James as a right centre back. Defensively, you looked a bit weird. Like there was room for Leeds to exploit, and Leeds were exploiting that many times. And I think they just looked hungrier. They wanted it more. They outfought you. They outworked you. They were just there. They were up for it more, you know. And they were gifted with those goals. You know, Aronson was the first, Rodrigo the second, and then Harrison, and I think it was the second half. So yeah, fair play to Leeds. Everyone has been saying, "Oh, Leeds haven't done enough in the window." I strongly disagree. I feel like they've done a lot more than certain other clubs, and I've been keeping an eye on Leeds, to be fair, in terms of who they've been bringing in. I feel they've brought some very smart signings, players to replace other players to come in. You know, Rafinha didn't go without replacement. Phillips didn't go without replacement. I know they still have injuries to the likes of Dallas. I think Luke Ayling, Patrick Bamford's out now, but Rodrigo stepped up, to be fair. But yeah, a lot of people have been saying Leeds are going to go down, Leeds are going to struggle. I don't think so. I think Jesse Marsh has proven a lot of people wrong. And who knows? It's still early doors. They could still go down. The ebbs and flow of the season is very long and tiresome, so you never know what's going to happen when they hit in the middle of the season where things get tricky. But for now, Leeds are proving a lot of people wrong at the moment, and I don't think they're going to be any mugs or pushovers. And I feel like second season syndrome shook it off. Third season, here we are. So they're looking to cement themselves, and I feel like they could make a push for what they were looking like in the first season, where they'll try and break into the top half. I think they finished 10th in their first season. Was it 10th? Around there, but they'll be looking.
I think it was 9th.
Around there, but yeah, they'll be looking to try and push back into the top half, where they, with the type of players they have, they probably should be up there as well, like pushing. You know, they have a good team, good squad, still trying to find their feet a little bit, but at the same time, they look hungry, they look ready, they look focused, And who did I have next on the weekend?
Brighton.
Brighton.
Got Brighton
Oh,
away.
that's gonna be a very interesting game. To be fair,
That's gonna be
Brighton
a tasty fixture, I think.
7 points from their opening 3 games, and then Leeds, I think, similar around there. They're doing well for themselves as well.
Both the same.
7-7. So something's gonna have to give in that game. Either someone's gonna lose or someone's gonna get a point. I don't know, but that's how football works, and we all know fully aware of that. But it's gonna be a very interesting game either way. But fair play to Leeds. Chelsea, they'll be fine. They'll be fine. They do have their issues, yes. Losing Kante is a big blow. Losing Kante is always a big blow because without Kante, you don't really tick in the middle. Gallagher, I feel a little bit sorry for him. He's getting a bit of stick for that game, and I don't know. And maybe he should have gone back to Palace. I don't know if he's going to get a proper chance again at Chelsea, but hopefully he does because he's a good player, and I think he's shown that he can be, up there. So give your youth players a chance again instead of going out 60 million to buy Everton's youth players. So yeah, unlucky to Chelsea, but fair play to Leeds.
I think when it comes to Gallagher, with Kante being injured, he might be given more of a chance. But the big concern for me is always him and Mount.
Jorginho and Kovacic, don't they?
Well, they don't play well together for England.
I think they did make a point in the commentary that Gallagher and Mount can't play together at the same time.
I think that's my only issue. And Mount seems to be a favourite at Chelsea, so he's not going to be dropped for Gallagher to play better. So that's the only problem. Nick, I mean, what did you think of the game?
I listened to a lot of this match on Sunday, and I thought Leeds
So did I, unfortunately.
Chelsea started well enough. They had a few shots, but they didn't take. If Sterling had the very good chance, and he should have done better. And then Leeds, they were quite very hungry up for it. They put you under pressure and kept running in behind. But the mistakes Chelsea made for their goals were quite embarrassing. And then Koulibaly,
yeah, that was silly.
Impact made and it made it really worse. And then in the end, Leeds could have won more handsomely than they did. Chances in the second half. I think
I will
Chelsea
say as well. Oh, sorry, come.
I think Chelsea needed to sort the defensive problems and get more defenders in, and they need a centre forward. Because why did they let Rudiger and Christensen contract run out? They should have tied him down and made sure he's still there.
I think when it comes to Rudiger, I don't think he wanted to stay. B, at the time he wanted a new contract. Because of the whole ownership stuff, we didn't have the facility to be able to negotiate a new contract with him. That was probably the issue, which unfortunately, was what it was. Reality. What were you going to say, Abdi?
I was going to quickly say, Tuchel probably should have just taken the L and took the suspension rather than trying to get an appeal and get it postponed for a later date because, didn't really make a difference in that match. So he should have taken the L. But
and also he's been charged again.
Charged again for what?
For the
comments that he made about the referee.
Oh, good Lord. Tuchel, when are you going to learn, brother? Get a 2-match ban now. You're making it worse for yourself.
Yeah, well, Tuchel is one thing, that's for sure.
Tell me Tuchel.
Sam, I mean, I don't expect you will be sad for Chelsea, so but what did you think of the game?
Crying tears.
No,
that was my job, mate. It's fine.
I don't particularly think it's the loss that's their most pressing issue. Really, it's the fact that they're going on this big hunt for this striker and the centre back, and Chelsea are now in a terrible position because the clubs that they're trying to get players from they're desperate, so they're putting sort of £15 million on top of every single player they're going from. Like they are in for Aubameyang, aren't they? And they want 20 million for Aubameyang, and you're thinking to yourself, well, in no world should you pay £20 million for Aubameyang. But it's just because Chelsea are so desperate at this moment in time to sign players, and they've kind of done that to themselves almost by focusing on other targets that potentially could have waited and not getting in the positions that are needed. So for me, or the way I see it for Chelsea fans, that would be more the thing that I'm worried about, not the loss, if I'm honest.
Matt, what's your view on the situation on the game?
So I'll just go through the comments now.
Yep.
Jonesy,
There's some fantastic ones.
Chelsea got what done down on Emmerdale Farm with 3 laughing emojis.
Drown us at the wall
is coming in for 60 million laughing emoji.
And Gordon,
Chelsea transfer policy is worse than Boris' cost of living policy.
Oh my God.
Yeah, fairly accurate.
But honestly,
throw anything to the wall and hope something sticks, basically.
I do think
Abdi did mention it earlier. But sorry, Nick, go on.
Was it not getting the fact that the new ownership got rid of the recruiting team? Was that a big mistake?
Well, probably it's going to have an impact because these people knew more what they were doing before that was done. Our recruitment was nowhere near as bad. It's this transfer window where the transfer policy went absolutely pear-shaped, absolutely skeweth.
Almost like they're winging it. They don't know what they're doing, so they
You
just
look
sort of...
at who you were trying to get before as well. Rafinha, Dembele, Koundé, all of them ended up at Barcelona, staying at Barcelona. So, yeah, you kind of got outfought for that one a little bit on those transfers. So, it's not helpful. But I when Todd Bowley took over, I thought it was going to be the management positions in higher up positions. I thought they weren't leaving until like October or something, at least so they can get through the summer transfer window with him and help him sort of navigate that. But he's like, all right, you guys can all go and I'll just sort of be my own head scout and play football manager in real life, basically. So he's off gallivanting.
As I've said to people, new ownership is always going to come with risks. At the end of the day, some Chelsea fans, the Chelsea fans that talk the most bollocks is probably the ones that seems to have not realised that Abramovich is not in charge anymore. And I think some fans need to open their eyes and realise that we're not going to be the Chelsea we were for a while because there's new ownership. Things are going to be done differently, and it's for us to see what that's exactly going to mean, either in one way or the other, really. But yeah, continue, Matt. Sorry, anyway.
Yeah, so you have been talking about the ownership, and that kind of opens it up a little bit more as to see why certain things have happened. Obviously, letting Werner go, not bringing in a proper striker to back him up as a like-for-like replacement. Honestly, I think there have been worse strikers that you've brought in and not done the job. There's the Lukaku issue again. It just seems a bit all over the place, and because you're all over the place, it's almost like everything's a panic, or everyone's at the panic stations, and Tommy Tickle's going around with his hat on, almost with the fire hose, trying to cool everything down because everything seems to be on fire at the moment. But it will cool down. It's just a case of will he end up losing his job because of it, because he can't focus on his main goal at the moment, which is getting those points over the line. I would have thought Sterling needs to get a goal at the moment, and he can't seem to get that at the moment. What seems to really agitate me at the moment is Mason Mount keeps on playing in as a winger. And I have spoken to another Chelsea fan a couple of years ago, and he always saw Mason Mount as a attacking midfielder. He didn't consider him as a winger. And perhaps that's where,
to be fair,
that was what the issue was. And now you see, not just at Chelsea, at England now, he's considered more of a winger than a attacking midfielder, and that's probably where you don't want him to play in the first place. So you're playing someone out of the position and forcing them to do that. Then you bring in Sterling to do the job that he wants. So then and then you've got Loftus-Cheek playing right wing back instead of playing on the other side. It's a bit of a mess at the moment, and it's just. I think the analogy is putting square pegs in round holes, but
Yep.
I'm gonna say to Leeds, like they fair enough. They and to Justin Marsh as well. Nobody really credited him when he came in, and he kept them up, and he went right. Okay, we don't want to be in this position again. He made sure to buy players that he knew and would buy into what he wants to do at Leeds. So fair play to him, and they're reaping the rewards. They might sneak in. They might have a good cup run at the moment as well. So it'll be interesting to see how far this Leeds team can go this season. But I don't think it will be a relegation battle.
No, definitely not. All right, that's that painful segment over. Moving on to the next
Any more
game. Now,
comments?
we didn't.
Sorry.
Oh, any more?
No
No,
more
presume Matt
comments
would have
after
said
Jonesy's, Chelsea's comments.
Well, we didn't preview this game really because every one of us said, "Oh, we know what's going to happen. Newcastle are going to get thrashed." Nick got that wrong slightly, didn't we?
Yes, we all did. First, so Newcastle started, and the first 10 minutes it was all Man City. They scored, and it was going to be one-way traffic. But then we got back. Newcastle worked their way into the game, got 2 goals, and then we got the 3-1 lead, and then Man City hit back. But we put a lot of effort in that match. We worked really hard, and we pressed Man City, and we had the attackers to run him use the pace to cause Man City's defense loads of problems, and both teams could have won it because the chances they had, they a bit more clinical finishing, and I think could have won it. I think Nick Pope played amazing. I think Nick Pope has been amazing signing in goal, and he's paid. I think he's paid back virtually all the fee we paid for him. But I think the referee was. I think the officiating was poor as in that match, especially for Almiron's goal. There should have been a penalty for Newcastle on Fabian Schär, and then the red card for Trippier. That was not a red card. So
that was overturned.
Yeah, I was happy. I would have taken a draw from before the start of the match, so I'm quite happy with that. And we've got 5 points for the first 3 games, which is quite good. The only downside is Callum Wilson felt his hamstring, had tightness in his hamstring. So I think by the end of the window, we need a right winger and another striker for squad depth.
Abdi, when it comes to Man City, I mean, Newcastle didn't do too badly, but what's happened to Man City in that game? Because on paper, you'd expect them to wallop Newcastle, yet they were 3-1 down at one point, wasn't they? So
they were. I think it was a case of sort of a very lively atmosphere with Newcastle at St James Park, and sort of the comments. I think Jack Grealish, kind of got like things a bit more riled up a bit. Luckily for him, he wasn't anywhere near the stadium. He wasn't even in the squad. So, but Miguel Almiron, you couldn't write it. Gets the goal, and then afterwards, City. I don't know. I think it was just Newcastle pushed on, and they were just going for it, and they had spirit and fight for it. But at the same time, quality will win out eventually, and Man City did find a way back in that game. The likes of Haaland, De Bruyne. De Bruyne is a different level, a different kind of player. The pass that he played was outrageous, and he's just different class, really.
Because there was just a small gap, and he managed to play through the legs of the Newcastle player to Bernardo. Exactly. Only De Bruyne would spot that.
Yeah, exactly, Nick. Perfectly. But going forward, I still think they'll be fine. Right? It's just one of those games where you come across a team and it's just a very entertaining game to watch and listen to if you're listening to it on the radio or watch on TV. But it's just a very enjoyable game all round. Yeah, obviously I want to see Newcastle win, but I think this is sort of a thing. Newcastle had a very poor record against Man City beforehand.
There's only one win of the last 29 meetings. Newcastle
Exactly,
won against Man City.
I feel like this could be sort of, I don't know, the beginning of Newcastle in terms of because in a few years, Newcastle v Man City will be exactly where it was, 4:30 on Sunday, Super Sunday, and maybe both of them fighting for a title or something. I don't know, but Newcastle are doing it a slow burner. They're trusting in Eddie Howe. They're not just going out and buying anyone and everyone. They're not doing what people thought they'd do and just splash the cash from just everybody. They're doing it the right way, and I respect it. They're doing it properly. There's a good vibe in that, like from where it was with Mike Ashley to where it is now, the new ownership, just a completely different place. No one has really won there, bar Liverpool and Man City, I believe. Those are the only two teams.
They're the only two teams that won since Eddie Howe's been there.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like St. James Park is going to be a fortress for Newcastle going forward, and I feel like it's going to be a very tough place for people to go now. It's always been a tough place in terms of that, but now that they've got sort of ambition within the club and drive, then sky's the limit for Newcastle.
Definitely quite something that Sam, talking of Eddie Howe, I mean, I've had a lot of people saying, "Oh, he's not a good enough manager. He's young. He's not yet good enough." Surely Eddie Howe should be given credit for the good job he's doing with Newcastle so far.
Yeah, I always thought he was a good manager. I don't see where this stick comes from at all. I would even go on to say that I would take him managing England in a heartbeat. I think he's a fantastic manager, so I don't know where this stick comes from, really. But yeah, I agree with what's been said. They're doing it. There's one or two ways you can go when you get a lot of money, isn't there? You can kind of go out and buy a whole new team, but as we've seen in the past, that doesn't work. So it's actually pleasing to see a team get a load of money, but then using it in the right way, knowing that you can't just replace a team overnight and get a whole new one. So I think it's nothing but positive for Newcastle and Newcastle fans at the moment.
That's exactly what I was saying in terms of them trusting in the manager and letting him make the decisions in terms of who he wants to bring in, how he wants to bring them in. It's a common thing. You don't want to just bring in anybody, Like Newcastle, they have a lot of money now and a lot of people know that, and they don't want to be exploited for that. They want people to come in not for the money. They want people to come in because they want to be part of the project. They want
people to fight and be part of the team and the spirit.
Yeah, you want to build a project you want a project where people are pulling in the same direction and not there like just mercenaries. You don't want a team full of mercenaries. So Newcastle doing it the right way, and I respect it.
No, Matt, your view on the game, please.
Yeah, I think when I saw the result, I looked at it and thought that's almost like a mid-2000s pre-money City get sort of game that you'd get. It would be one of those. It was very end-to-end. So just on the stats alone, Newcastle had 6 shots on target, but had 12 shots. City had 21 shots, and 10 of those were on target. So it just was really end-to-end. And you both mentioned about how Eddie Howe and the transfer recruitment's been really top-notch, and that is the right way we all want to go. But I think there's more than just 2 ways. You can just spend it all in once. You could do the City method where you spend money on big players and eventually they grow into a squad, which took them, I'd say about 5-6 years before they eventually won the league.
They won in 4.
You're 4. Okay, so
2008 to 2012.
So yeah, these are all.
But by 2010, you could sort of see it. Sorry, 2010, 2011, you could sort of start seeing it.
Around this time, Newcastle will be planning. They're not even a year into their project, if you think about it. But I can imagine they want the top 10 finish at the moment, maybe pushing for that European spot if they can get
and
a cup.
Cup. Eddie Howe's come out and he wants to do well in the cups this season.
Yeah, so all that's going to be taken on board, and eventually you'll get to see Newcastle in that Europe. They'll be pushing more and more, and I think that's the way to do it. We've seen a lot of these sort of projects now just about to be seen. You've seen it with Arsenal. You've seen it done with Liverpool as well. I think that it's almost at the end of that now, I think, when we talk about that game. But Newcastle are doing well, and the fact that they were beating City at one point makes it even more interesting. And if you wanted to highlight a Premier League game and show them what the Premier League is all about, you'd show them that game.
Well, you'll be interested to see how Newcastle will carry on. We'll definitely keep an eye on that one. Right, one more game to go. The Battle of the Reds. Mr. Abdullahi.
Hello.
Hello. Good evening.
Good evening. It is a good evening. What a difference 24 hours makes in terms of how one's mood can be changed. In terms of the feeling and outlook and going forward a little bit. But the actual game itself, in terms of everything about it, from what we saw, the likes of Brighton and Brentford, abysmal, compared to this game where it was domination, authority, hunger, desire, passion, just everything that you want to see out of a Man United team, everything that a Man United team should be. And they went out and done exactly that. From the first kick of the ball to the 95th, 6th minute, they were just out there, just busting a gut. And that's, I know it's the minimum, everyone should be doing it. But from being outrun by Brentford about 13.8 kilometers and only running about 95k to then running about 113 yourselves and doing more than Liverpool and doing 51 more sprints than you did. I don't know. That in that 9 days between the Brentford game and the Liverpool game, Ten Hag must have put a rocket up them, and so he should, because Sunday he hauled them in. He said, right, the miles that you didn't run or the kilometers that you didn't run yesterday, you're going to do it today, and you're going to run them out, and you're going to make up for that. I mean, we still lost, but you still you shouldn't be outrun. You shouldn't be outrun by Brentford. They shouldn't, without being disrespectful to Brentford. Like any team can beat any team, but for Man United, they should be a hard-working team. They should be on the front foot, going after teams, just making it difficult for them. And then, what I do respect as well, apparently Ten Hag got involved in himself in terms of the extra running on the Sunday. He was like, you're going to do it. If I'm going to show you that I'm going to do it as well. So it's sort of a bonding thing as well. But the actual game itself, Martinez, absolute monster performance. Varane, quality centre-back performance from him as well. The best performance I've seen from him in the United shirt. Hopefully he can keep that up, because injuries have plagued him throughout last season, and it has been a struggle. Ten Hag made a big call. Maguire on the bench, Ronaldo on the bench, Luke Shaw on the bench, dropping Fred on the bench, dropping quite a few players from the game against Brentford, and a lot of people going, that's a big call, and questioning like the likes of Anthony Elanga starting as well. But Elanga absolutely just ran Trent Alexander-Arnold ragged. Like, Trent couldn't do anything about it. He was just like all over the place, spun him around, just couldn't do a thing. I'm just going all over the place because I'm trying to put it all together. But I think everyone from De Gea up to the forwards had a fantastic game in terms of how they came out. It was aggressive, and I loved every single second about it. Malacia thrown into the deep end against Liverpool and playing against one of the best forwards in the world, and Mo Salah at the time. Just keeping him as quiet as you could. Yes, they did get the consolation goal back, but that was more because the ball was just ping-ponging about and Salah was more alert. So it happens. But aside from that, everything else just went the way that you'd want it to go. I didn't go into that game feeling confident. Morale was pretty much low in terms of the United fan base. Going into it, we still. I would like to stress that it doesn't change anything in terms of the ownership situation, how we feel about the ownership. We love to see the team winning, and that's the number one thing. We want to see the team win first and foremost. But that ownership is still toxic. It doesn't change a thing in terms of we've beaten teams like City, Liverpool, Chelsea before. It's just, can we go forwards and do it again? Southampton, Leicester, Arsenal, whoever's after that. But yeah, just can we have the consistency? But the ownership won't change in terms of from day one to now. Still the same story. Still taking money out of the club. Still not really investing in the stadium itself. Investing properly. Like what they're doing now in terms of spending. They brought Casemiro. Yes, they're still trying to bring in Anthony. They're trying to bring in other players as well. But they're only doing that because they know that there's a viable buyer out there, and United fans are just sick of them and they want them gone. But it's not going to change. It's not going to change our mind. I know a lot of it's easy. It's very easy for United fans or fans in general to get carried away in terms of when you have a big win like that and a big result like that, and then afterwards it's sort of what the Glazers are smart at, letting it dilute, let things simmer down, and then afterwards sort of just be like, back to regular schedule programming and continue. So United fans need to keep the pressure on them regardless if they win against Southampton, Leicester, Arsenal, and keep it up and so on and so forth. But going back to the game, Liverpool, they were poor. I don't know how they're playing Milner, Henderson in a midfield pairing in 2022. You know, Milner got sent to the shops not even sent to the shops, got sent into retirement by Jadon Sancho. Rashford looked confident. He was very, very good in terms of his direct running at their back line, made it difficult for them. He exploited the gaps between Alexander-Arnold and Joe Gomez. You know, and Van Dijk, what has gone on with Van Dijk? He's just been absolutely fallen off a cliff, really, in terms of his performances. But wrapping it up on terms of United, I want to see more of that going forward. It's no good just beating Liverpool and then after going on to lose to Southampton and Leicester, because then afterwards this win means pretty much nothing, because you need to be consistent. Consistency is key. And going forward, I'd like to see more of Varane and Martinez partnered together, because
that really worked.
That was monster. And I feel like I'm very happy for Martinez, because I feel like he's proven a lot of people wrong in terms of
you got a lot of slack very quickly.
And I think it was very quickly in terms of Danny Welbeck and Ivan Toney sort of bullied him in terms of pinning him and using their height, but Martinez showed that he has other qualities as well, and he was dominant both on the ground and aerially against arguably the best front line in Europe, you know, most threatening as well. But they kept them quiet. They did everything they had to do. Everyone put in a shift, and that's all you need from a team going forward. And that's all I can ask for as a United fan. I'm not going to get carried away. I'm just happy that I haven't seen something like that from United in a very, very long time. And it just feels good for once to just wake up after a very good performance like that and just feel happy and just be like, my team wasn't shit yesterday. At least we have that, you know. That can all change on Saturday. We can all just go split back into the same old United stuff. But I hope not. I hope we see that moving forwards. And, you know, so many more performances like that.
Certainly, too. Definitely. Let's go for Nick. What did you think?
I do think Man United's starting on that was very bold and very brave. The fact it was with all the changes and the fact he went with up front Sancho, Rashford, Langer. That was quite impressive. Man United, look, I don't know what Man United were just a better team, and they played really well, the whole team, and deserved to win. Yes, Liverpool scored, but it didn't really affect things. I don't know what's wrong with Liverpool. Like, these first 3 games, they've just not been on it at all. Defensively, they've really struggled to play together as a team, and they should have, and they've not got any wins, so which is very odd compared to last season when they were firing all cylinders. So I don't know what is going wrong there. I think Klopp will need to have a think. I do think midfield they need to look at, because the injuries mean they've got Milner and Henderson playing together. So I think they might probably need to buy a midfielder, but I think they're going to be holding off till next summer and sorting that out. But
they're waiting for Bellingham. That's
Yeah.
their obsession at the moment.
That's
But
what
they
we said, I
need
think,
someone.
on the
They
previous
need
show.
Yeah.
someone now. Like,
Yeah,
they'll
but
link
they
with
can't wait.
Matthias Nunes
Yeah,
from
definitely.
Wolves now, but it would have helped if they'd gone for him. I don't know, but yeah, go on, Nick. Sorry.
What'd you say
But
about
I do
Matthias
think-
Nunes, Abby?
They'll linked with him. It would have
Yeah, they were
helped if
linked
they
with
went
him.
for someone
Yeah.
like him, but
Mm.
Wolves sapped him up, and so yeah.
But Man United need in the next few matches play like they did against Liverpool, for the consistency, because it'll be no good for morale if they played well last night and then they go to the next 2-3 games and they play like Brighton against Brighton and Brentford. So I think they'll just be back to square one after that if that
Yeah.
happens.
Yes.
Southampton and Leicester will be 2 very different tests as well to
They'll be
Liverpool game.
very different teams. You've got Leicester who
Mm.
are struggling, and then you've got Southampton who you don't know which Southampton's going to turn up, really.
St Mary's is a weird place for us. It's either a draw or comeback win or something. So we'll see what happens.
Sam, what did you think of the game? I mean, Liverpool, they're struggling. I mean, this is a bad start to say the least.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I was going to focus more on, because yes, United play well, but I just sat there and thought, where's this team that Liverpool were last season? Where's this team that Liverpool were? Because they were woeful. Like, not just bad, absolutely dreadful. That's not taking away anything from Man United, because I think they deserve to win. But I just think, as I was watching it, I was thinking, where's that Liverpool team? And I think that midfield really needs sorting from top to bottom. It needs like ripping and starting afresh. And I think if they don't do that, at least do something before the end of the transfer window, I think they could be in trouble. Because it's all well and good having this amazing attack, but if you've got nobody to supply the attack, then you're in a massive spot of bother, which is what they've got at the moment. I don't even think I looked at who they've got injured, and I don't think, because the midfielder they've got out is Thiago, and I don't think he steps in and makes a massive deal of difference either. He's okay, but I don't think he steps in and changes that midfield. So that's where I'd be really concerned if I was Liverpool right now.
Concerned for Liverpool, Matt? What's your thoughts?
It's difficult when you have Everton friends, because you're kind of secretly laughing at them, and at the same time as you're trying to think as a neutral. I'm gonna say fair play to United. Like, that was great to see Ten Hag actually pull them up, as Abdi was saying, saying no, you're not having a day off. You've got to focus on everything that you didn't do well, and he made the right calls in the end. And I think probably if you were to look at that bench, if they're the type of players that are causing the distress in that changing rooms, get them out the door. You don't want them playing for your club anymore. Simple as that. If Harry Maguire
You don't want them, and they don't want to play.
If Harry Maguire can't even find his right way into the stadium, let alone know where you're supposed to stand before a game, he obviously just needs to leave, and it'll be same for the others. I think the others might be looking at options as if to say, well, I wanted to play first team football, but maybe I either need to back up my ideas or need to leave. 8 days to change people's minds. It's a lot to ask for. This Liverpool team, it's a shadow of itself in a way. I was just looking it up, and it's nearly 7 years since Klopp took over the job. So
yeah, 2015 October time. I don't know.
So around that time,
Almost 7 now.
His longest stay at a club is 7 years, and at the end of it at Dortmund, it just fell apart, and you just have a feeling that's going to happen again. And he's
just signed a new contract though till 2026, so he's there to stay.
Well, yeah, but that doesn't mean much these days.
True.
But if
they're not worth the paper they're on.
And if they don't bring anyone, say they don't bring anyone in the transfer window with 8 days to go, you're going to have the Liverpool fans on your back. You're going to have the owners going to be questioning why they gave you that in the first place, and it's slowly going to cost you your job. And
I don't think the Liverpool fans would ever really turn on Klopp. To them, he's just like
some fans
a mythical figure. No, some fans will, but to the hardcore faithful and the people, stadium goers,
a lot of fans are fickle. They will turn on anybody just when they're not doing as well as the great Liverpool supposed to.
True, but he's a mythical figure to them at Anfield. You know, like with he brought them the first league title in 30 years, and they've won the Champions League recently as well. So he's been relatively successful, not as successful as they probably should have been with the amount of the quality of their team as well, and how much people bang on about them being the greatest team ever. So yeah, no, but I don't see him getting the sack, or I see him leaving himself. I don't know, but I don't think so. I think Liverpool will be fine. It's still too early, but they do have a lot of work to do in terms of midfield, because that's their weakest point at the moment. I feel like attack they're fine in terms of Diaz, Nunez. Nunez was the maker of his own downfall anyway in terms of the headbutt against Palace, so he could have played against us if he wasn't stupid. So yeah, Nunez, Diaz, Jota when he comes back from his injury, Salah, Carvalho. So you've still got like some attacking options, but it's just the midfield where it lets it down. No, Matip Konate kind of hurt Liverpool a little bit as well there. And then Alexander-Arnold, he's just weak defensively. He's good going forward, but defensively he's just caught lacking, and we exploited that repeatedly.
Wasn't playing. He was pulled up in the warm-up, wasn't he? So that's another one. Keita.
Keita. Naby Keita.
Yeah,
I thought he wasn't even in the squad.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Just a quick one. I just wanted to get you guys' opinion on it, really. I thought that Bruno Fernandes actually could have been sent off. I think he could have.
He was lucky.
He did a few silly things.
Yeah,
I still think he had a very good game, but it was the dive was silly.
No.
The dive was silly, and it was just when you're, because at that point they were 2-0 up, I believe, were they?
Mm-hmm.
When it was just after Liverpool scored, and he held on to the ball. Fair enough, you can hold on to the ball a little bit, but the way that he did and held on to it again and then claimed that somebody had hit him in the face, I just think it could have cost United that when you're looking at it.
Give him a back.
To be fair, he shouldn't have been doing that. It was silly of him, but I think that's the only sort of blemish I'd say. I wouldn't mark that up on the actual team's performance or anything, but that was just the dive, the blatant dive was very poor on his part as well. It was like, come on, Bruno, like you're better than that.
He's definitely better than that. So
but yeah, no, I still think he had a very good game in himself. You know, he looked more just focused and switched on, but he does like a good man. He does like a good man. But yeah.
Well, what a game to end the game week on. Oof, before we close the show, Sam, predictions, please. Update, please.
Yeah, I have totaled them. Not to be fair, this week I think we all got the lowest points that we all have got, if that makes any sense. So
What was the best out of the worst then?
Because there was lots of kind of unpredicted. So the best one, to be fair, Luke got 9 points and killed it and took himself from 4th to top.
So give us the table. Go on from bottom to top.
Bottom to top. So we had a no-show,
including guests, of course.
We had a no-show for Austin this week, so he stays at the bottom with 8. Matt's got a few points, pushed himself up a little bit, 13 points. Hubert next, 14. Abdi next, 17. Myself with 18. And then we've got joint third place with George and Jonesy still. Then Lottie was top until Luke got his 9 points, Stormer, and overtook Lottie, sorry. And got so Luke's on 28 and then Lottie's on 26.
Well, where's guest in the table?
Guests are on, let me double check that, because guests are on 16.
So where are
that puts them sort of kind of mid-table almost.
Well, which place does it put them in?
Just by me, I think.
So just behind Abdi.
Excellent. Well, we'll be back on Thursday with the previous show. Before we close out, Abdi, where can people find you on the Twitter machine?
You can find me on the Twitter machine at aabdullahi26, at AABDULLAHI26.
Nick, where can people find you on the Twitter?
At Nicholas Pages on Twitter, you can find me.
Fantastic. Sam?
Sam Wilson with the 1 in the space of the eye of Wilson.
Matt, same for you?
At MattLR28.
Fantastic. You can find me on Twitter at Subsonics UK. That's SUBSONIX UK. You can find us on at Golden Goal TV. You can find us on Facebook. We've got Discord and the WhatsApp groups, so we're everywhere. And remember, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and click the bell to receive the notifications because let's not forget this. We've reached a significant milestone.
We have
over 100 subscribers.
Yay! Here's to many more. Road to 1,000 starts there. 10 more times with this.
Let's go
9 more times.
Let's go to 250 first, shall we? Because we promised Tom on the show for that. So
250. We can hit it. Big spike. We need a big spike. Bang.
Yeah. Well, I think the 250 is where Golden Goal as an entity ends, but we won't go there.
As an entity? No, we won't end. Oh yeah, we've actually. Yeah. True.
Well, we'll see what happens, shall we? Before we go.
Hey, you never know. It could spike us up. You know.
Exactly.
It could be the making of us.
People love a controversy. He'll be fine. He'll get us to 500 subscribers on his own. Right. We will see you all Thursday evening for the previous show. So yeah,
Thursday, not Friday. Remember that we have a national holiday on Friday. No, I'm kidding. It's not a national holiday, but yeah.
No, it's bank holiday Friday. Yeah, we will see you
my
all
birthday
on
Friday.
Yes, happy birthday. Well, we wish you that. Yeah, we'll sort that on Thursday. But yes, there's no FPL show this week, but there is a preview show. We'll see you then.
Bye.
Bye.